trial worked. Oh yes, we are live now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are we live? It's saying we're streaming live, but I don't have notification.
Yeah, we're live. Hi, everyone. It's us.
Hey, everyone. We're off to a hot start.
Are we live?
We got this figured out. Don't
We
worry.
are off to a hot start. So good at this organisation thing. Okay, so we will pretend that we are live, maybe?
Yeah.
There we go.
It says we are live on Facebook. This is what I'm seeing on the Zoom call.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Boom.
Okay. So, it seems weird when you don't have people in here. So, hi everyone. It's great to see you all here for this special live Q&A for Sniper Assassins with not only the very prestigious Chad Michael Collins, but also the writer and producer of the movie, Oliver Thompson.
Hello.
We would like to say thanks for sending in your questions beforehand as well. That was really great. Thank you for doing that. Today we have our panelists. Wave with your name, girls. Rachel. Dorada.
Oh.
Hello. Jen. And I'm Janine. Okay. So this is the 8th instalment of a 25-year long running movie series, Sniper, from Sony Pictures. And it's the 5th film that Chad's been in, but the first written by Oliver. Is that correct, Oliver?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
So that's good. I'm glad I got that bit right anyway. Chad, as we know, portrayed the character as also of Alex Echo 5131, in the legendary gaming franchise of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. He also it's got a diverse resume, ranking up quite a few TV and film credits in there. He's got Once Upon a Time, MacGyver, Extinct, CSI, NCIS, Company Heroes and High Moon, and a lot more. So wow, Chad, that's quite a huge resume. Oliver, you're currently the founder of Minute Hand Pictures.
That's right. Yeah.
Minute Hand Pictures.
That's
so,
it.
And you've also had 5 nominations and 3 wins for a movie that you did with that called Welcome to Happiness.
Correct. Yeah. I was the writer and director on that.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So, and you also write and produce music as well.
Yeah.
And 2 of those songs are in Sniper Assassin's End. I know Chad will love these because it's kind of
yeah.
music.
I think one of
the first one's called Spitting His Fire. Pardon? Pardon? I cut you off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, I think, unfortunately, while there's 2 songs in the credits, I think at the very last minute, one of them, Kari, our wonderful director, decided to cut. So there's 1 song in the movie, but I've credited for 2. So I'll take all the credit I can get.
Right.
What he decided to do was he decided to use the 1 song twice instead of using both songs. So,
That's what I thought, because I couldn't hear the other one, because
there isn't.
Fire, I know where that is.
Yeah, and what's a bummer, I think the other one's actually cooler. So, but we'll have to just bring Kari on the next thing and he can defend his position on that.
Where do we get to hear that one, Oliver?
Yeah.
Sniper 9.
I love it. Okay, so look, without further ado, in my best Aussie accent, I'd like to welcome our guests, Chad Michael Collins and Oliver Thompson. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So we're excited for both of you to be here. And Oliver, I'm sure Chad agrees that we don't get to hear from writers very often. So thank you for your time this morning.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Your relatively lovely morning, my very early morning.
Yeah.
So, you ready for the onslaught of questions?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bring it.
It's so funny when you don't have people in front of you. It's a bit weird. So the first question is for both of you. And this one is from Kim WK. So Chad knows Kim quite well. What was your favourite moment on the set of the movie? Chad, you want to go first?
Favorite moment on the set of the movie. I've probably said this a lot in some of the interviews I've been able to done in support of the film, but I loved being in the woods. Oliver, where do you remember the exact area outside of Vancouver? Was that Surrey, where we shot the big fight scene in the forest?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Surrey.
That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, they found this great patch of land, in this beautiful little swath of forest, and that we were just out in there for a couple of days, and we had shot our epic fight scene between Brandon Beckett and Lady Death there, and I loved being there. It was, when you think of Vancouver, you think of, the nature and, the rain, and that keeps everything really lush and really green. So it just felt like we were getting the best of Vancouver for a couple of days, just sitting in that forest, rolling around on the ground, kicking the crap out of each other, fake fighting in that way. But that was probably one of my favorite, my most favorite couple of days was on that location for sure.
Yeah, that whole thing was incredible. And I think for me, my favorite part about making the whole movie, I mean, off the top of my head anyway, in a similar vein, was just getting the opportunity to watch sort of behind the scenes as Chad and the other actors and all the stunt actors and our incredible choreographer, Brett Chan, watching them rehearse the fighting, watching Brett work with the actors and the stunt actors. He's like watching just a master, like it's incredible. I have some great video on my phone. Maybe someday I'll post or something. Just watching him like direct these guys I could have sat and watched that all day long. So I think that was the most like privileged experience I had, getting to be on set watching that go down.
Cool. Thanks. I knew you were going to say that scene, Chad, by the way. Who's next?
I'm very boring. All my answers are the same. Well, I'm active. I need a script.
The next question is for Chad and maybe also Oliver. Anna asks, in all the sniper films they've worked on, what scene was the most difficult, the most exciting, and the funniest?
Oh boy. Wow. It's a three-headed monster right there. Most difficult? I remember we did in Sniper Ghost Shooter, we were on a Bulgarian mountaintop about 8,000 feet up at the tail end of April, early May, I believe, and we're there for a few days. It was cold. It was a ski resort that had shut down, and it was off season, but it was cold. Like every 30 minutes, a brand new like sleet storm would roll through. It was, below zero most of the time with wind. And we were up there for a couple of days, just kind of soaking wet and getting blasted on this mountaintop for a couple of days. And they're really beautiful, and if you look in that movie, there's some just amazing cinematography capturing all that snow. Whenever you can capture snow, and I'm sure Oliver will agree, it's beautiful in the final product, but it is gnarly to film in. It is very cold, very wet. And as an actor, the crew gets to wear, the waterproof stuff and the ski gear and the Gore-Tex, but the actors kind of make and do with this, sometimes knockoff tactical gear, which gets very wet and does not offer very much protection. So it becomes a little precarious. So that was pretty difficult. I remember going down, actually having to take the ski lift down the mountain every single day. And we were staying in this kind of resort that had closed down at the base of the mountain. And everyone, the actors, the stunt people, just crowded into the steam room and just to thaw out for like 30 minutes because we were just almost frozen to death every day on that mountain. But it was really, really fun. So that was a very long-winded first answer. What was it? Remind me, Jen, what the most exciting?
Exciting and then funniest.
Exciting and funniest. Oh boy, I got to take a helicopter ride in Sniper Ghost Shooter. That was the first time for me. So that was pretty exciting. The funniest. Oh boy, in all the movies, the funniest. Oh man, I don't know. I honestly, I've gotten to work with Billy Zane on a few of these, and the dude is hilarious, and he's so fun to work with and just be around on and off set. So we always have a grand old time with hanging out and joking around. He's kind of a clown like me, which is really fun. Put us two together. It's definitely a clown show for sure, minus the red noses. Unless we're on a Bulgarian mountaintop, and there's lots of red noses. So I'll go with those three off the top of my head, just covering the franchise in general, and of course I'll have great moments and stuff to share about Sniper Assassin's End as we go.
Am I answering this, even though my scope is limited to one movie, so I have to do?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go on.
Well, the hardest, I don't know, Chad, what was the hardest scene of this movie was the whole shootout on the road with the Russians and that whole thing. That was the hardest scene in this one. That was maybe also the most exciting. So maybe that can be a two birds with one stone there. And then funniest is hard to say. This movie's got some more humor maybe than some of the other ones. So just watching some of the, like, it wasn't necessarily behind the scenes stuff, some of the actual, like Chad has a whole scene with this stoner kid in a car.
Yeah.
And there's some outtakes there. That kid just started riffing, and then Chad started riffing with him. And there's some stuff that unfortunately isn't in the movie that's really funny. One particular thing I remember is him telling Chad, like, I'm the ice cream, you're the nuts. And Chad had a pretty funny on-the-spot response to that. But maybe
It's funny.
I think it was, what was it, Chad? You'll never be my nuts?
Something like that. Yeah, I remember. Kari encouraged a lot, and that's, like Oliver said, a lot of it didn't make the cut, but we were kind of encouraged to improv at the end of almost every scene, or just, in the middle of scenes. And, we had some fun ones. In the opening scene where you first see Brandon, where he's playing the video game, Kari had me throwing out a lot of zingers as I'm talking, smack to a 14-year-old on my headset. And then, when they storm in and smash me to the ground and drag me off in handcuffs, I had a lot of just one-liners and stuff that I was throwing back into my headset for the kid, as I was being whisked away to, treason jail. The headset in the game was still playing, so I was like trying to yell things back to the player as I was being dragged out. So Kari really let us have a lot of fun with that stuff. Of course, it didn't make the cut, a lot of it, but it was really fun to do. And also, just to echo Oliver's point about the most exciting and maybe the most difficult, that the road shootout we had with the big monster truck, and we were in the SUV, and then we were kind of pinned in there. That was a day, Oliver. Do you remember how we had pretty great weather consistently, almost that whole movie?
We had, yeah, right. That day we had consistent weather. It just wasn't great weather.
we were in the middle of shooting, and all of a sudden, like, the wind started ripping, the clouds started gathering, and like, you went from seeing all the beautiful mountaintops, ringing us, that were completely bare, and then did it just start snowing and raining and whatever, and then it literally
hail. We actually had hail. It just became,
it was
horrible.
brutal. Yeah. And 15 minutes later, like every inch of those mountaintops were covered in snow. Like, nature just came in and like made that day, it's kind of a little extra miserable at times, which was fun. I think it added to the scene where everybody was cold and wet and freezing. Yeah. And it was kind of a life or death shootout. So it was actually kind of a fun thing to use.
Sure. For you can use that. Us, we're just sitting there miserable.
Cool.
No,
So I've got oh, go ahead. Go on.
Oh, I was just. No.
Okay. This is a question for you, Chad. It's from Brooke. Brooke would like to know, what type of process did you go through when you got the role of Brandon Beckett? How did you prepare?
Hey, Brooke, thanks for the question. Great question so far from everybody. When I get a call and say, hey, we're going, and they send me the script and everything else, I like to get back into training. I really like to mix up, the way that I become physically prepared, You know, I like to get back to more of the military inspired type of workouts. I'll just kind of double down on pull-ups and natural body exercises and stuff like that that a soldier, you know, would do. You know, say he's deployed somewhere. That's the type of stuff he would do. He probably wouldn't have access to a gym if he's stationed somewhere around the world or seeing action on the front line. So I really like to get that grounded in me, you know, that fitness stuff. You know, I also knew that given the great script from Oliver, like, oh, we were gonna mix it up with hand-to-hand stuff. We were gonna get some down and dirty fisticuffs flying. So you know, I threw a few extra sessions in my gym and you know, worked my boxing and heavy bag and jump rope and stuff like that, and to kind of you know, get regrounded in the body, because so much of that is about movement. So much of that is about you know, being aware physically of who you're doing that dance with. So those were a couple of things that I added back in, you know, and on top of my regular preparation for any role, you know, to go off and shoot. Oh, I also bought some waterproof gear, knowing that we would go up to Vancouver. So I bought a couple of Sorel boots and stuff like that, just in case we got hammered with a lot of sogginess. So that was a big part of the preparation too, I suppose.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, and what about you, Oliver? Because you were obviously, you know, you wrote this great script, but then you were boots on the ground as a producer there. Did you, how early did you go up? Did you go up for pre-production a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I was up. I was up almost 5 weeks before we started shooting.
Oh,
I was up.
okay.
Yeah, I was up for the full, like, 4 weeks, a full month before, and then I was up the week prior to. Think it was weird. I was up there for 3 days doing some location scouting. I went back to LA for like 3 days, and then I was back in Vancouver for the remainder of it. So it was almost a full 5 weeks of prep. But no pull-ups or sit-ups or push-ups for me.
He did plenty. He doesn't like to brag. Very modest.
Great. So I've got a question from Giovanna to you, Chad. She's curious to know how long it takes for you to memorize your lines, and do you need to remember the whole script, or is just as it goes?
It takes me years. Oliver sent this to me in 2015. So I had plenty of time to work on. No, I'm kidding. You know, I think the fun thing about, you know, Brandon Beckett, and Oliver wrote some great dialogue for him, you know, some new stuff I really got to play with in a whole different fun way. But Brandon is not always a guy of many words. So that actually, you know, you can kind of leave the monologuing and the explaining and stuff to, you know, your big bads and some of the other characters. So I'm pretty good, you know, with getting the lines down. For me, it's just a repetition thing. And, you know, we had a nice little table read walkthrough where some of the main cast went through the script with Oliver and Kari and our producer Daniel at Sony. And we all sat down and we talked out characters and we talked out some dialogue stuff. I know Oliver was making some changes on the fly, which is really, really great. And we the whole thing was very collaborative. You know, Oliver and Kari were awesome on day one, you know, just being like, hey, you've done a bunch of these. If you have ideas, or, you know, if there's ways that, you know, we can improve even just a little bit here and there, we're open to it. And that is really rare. I'll tell you, as an actor, it's really rare. You know, Oliver, I'm sure you can attest, you know, a lot of writers are very attached to their words, especially if they're not producing and not directing. You know, the script is their thing. They don't want to see
one thing they have. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, and directors have their own thing, and they're trying to see the big picture while also shooting out the small pieces every single day. So it's a real gift to be able to collaborate and, you know, swap some ideas. And we had some really good conversations scene to scene about stuff like that, stuff that I missed and stuff that I would say, hey, maybe he would approach it a little bit differently. And then we were able to work and incorporate some stuff right then and there. But yeah, luckily for me, you know, Oliver didn't jam me up with too many monologues, so I was able to handle the daily load. You know, the hardest memorization was probably the fight choreography for me.
Definitely. Oh, way more for you to learn there than words.
That was you know, a lot more challenging, but you know, wonderfully kind of rewarding and satisfying for sure. And you know, Oliver, you know, to get you in on this conversation, did you have a character that you enjoyed writing for the most? I got a hint at who it might be, but
Well, I mean, I definitely had a lot of fun bringing Zero into the fold, kind of because you know he gets to be snarky and then Ryan Robbins, who plays Zero, like he's another guy who will improv and add his own stuff. But actually, I did have a ton of fun with Brandon because I kind of felt like and you just said this, Chad, like I was kind of trying to do something a little new with Brandon. Like, hey, let's see what Brandon's like when he's not working. Like, what's Brandon the dude like? Not just like Brandon the soldier, you know? So that was actually really, really fun to see him a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more normal of a guy. So that was one of my favorite things to do, was to kind of, I guess, test that a little bit. And then it was awesome then to take that to Chad and say, like, okay, now you actually are this guy. So have I done this okay? Like, is this okay? Like, you know, are you cool with this being who? Does Brandon like video games? Does Brandon like heavy metal? Is that okay? And then, yeah, you were awesome and open to everything. So.
Oh, thank you, man. And it was fun. And then when I read the script, I was so impressed because, you know, I always try to push for those layers, you know, and stuff. But, you know, sometimes we're making a military action movie and it's for a specific audience. So you don't, you know, Brandon doesn't get to have the fun. You know, he's Captain America from the comics, not from the movies. You know, he's kind of a very straight and narrow guy. At least it's always how he's been written. So to open that movie up with him playing video games and beer and pizza boxes littering table, and he's actually taking his first vacation, you know, maybe for the first time ever. Like, I just love that wrinkle. And also, you wrote in this, like, you made him a homeowner, and he had like a super awesome Jeep in the driveway. So thank you for building that into my personal life for Brandon Beckett. I appreciate that.
That's cool. Yeah.
I really love that bit. You know, really liked it. Yeah.
Expounding on the question though, Chad, I'm curious, like, do you start kind of like memorizing as soon as you get the script, or you just like look at the schedule and then go, okay, I just got to like hunker down on today's stuff? Or do you kind of just start doing a broad overview of memorization?
Well, I you know, my process is I'll go through the script a couple times and just, you know, really write down, you know, really just try and map out the journey, you know. And if you have access to the writer, which I had access to the whole time, is fantastic, because I get to, you know, pepper you with questions, and I just get to make sure that I understand that I'm delivering, you know, what you're intending each time. But I don't get too attached, you know. I don't treat it like a stage play where you have to memorize front to back and you have to do that for the months in advance. I really just focus on having a general idea of where I want to start and where I want to go, and specific notes on each scene, because we shoot out of order, and a lot of people who are not in the industry don't realize that you can shoot the ending on day one. So you really have to do your prep work on all 90 pages of that script to be ready to rock. But you know, I've been in enough rodeos where I know scenes can change literally overnight. So I don't get too far gone with memorizing every single piece of dialogue before I show up on set, because I know a lot of that stuff is subject to change, whether it's you know, Oliver having a great new idea, or a scene gets added in, or, you know, Sony's got some notes and they want to see something different, you know, with where we're at. So I don't get too far ahead of myself, and I take it day by day in terms of a memorizing basis once we are actually hitting the ground running filming.
Cool. Interesting.
Okay, so this next question is for Oliver. Monica wants to know, how does Sony Pictures select writers for an upcoming movie? Do they ask writers to create the scripts, or do writers approach Sony with scripts?
Oh, it's a good question. I'm sure it's different in every scenario. For me, the situation was that, you know, I got to go in. They had already decided they're going to make another sniper movie, and then it's a matter of, you know, I got the opportunity to go in and pitch my idea. And I think maybe, you know, one of the things I pitched right off the bat was just that I wanted to see this father-son dynamic more maybe than it had ever been played out. And just really make them feel like, you know, like that's his dad, you know. I wanted to like kind of just go into that, and apparently that that worked. And then I had some, some other reference points of action movies, and there was, this idea of, putting Brandon against the wall, maybe in a way we'd never seen him, and really putting him on the run, a la like a Jason Bourne. So that was kind of, how that went down. But I would say, to answer the question, it's in a franchise like this, Sony knows they want to make another one, and then they find the writer to do it. It's not something where I think a writer comes in saying, hey, do you guys want to do another sniper movie? Because I've got an idea. It's the other way around in my situation, and I would think probably most of the time.
Great. Another question for you, Oliver. It's from Scarlett. Scarlett would also like to know, how much time did it take to write the script for the movie?
Well, let me think here. I think the actual writing of the first draft happens pretty fast, because especially on something like this, when it's a studio movie, you don't really get even started writing the first page of the script until you have a very, very detailed outline, because the studio wants to weigh in on that, and Chad mentioned Daniel, our exec at Sony, who is very hands-on and has an idea, and so there's a lot of back and forth. And another exec, a gentleman named Tony, who had a lot of ideas, and so I had to work, for several months on just the outline phase. That's actually, interestingly, the 10-page outline takes 4 months, and then the 90-page script takes 1 month. So because just once you have that outline, then it's just a matter of, okay, they leave me alone and I sit down and knock this thing out in a month. And then there's, like Chad said, months and months of just, you keep rewriting, and right up till the last day of shooting, there's probably still some rewriting going on. But to get that first draft, the end, fade out, is probably like a 6-month period.
Cool.
Chad, I've got a question for you, which is not relating to Sniper. The question is from Beth. For somebody jumping into a working out, what sort of exercise would you recommend, and what type of a regime would be the best for the person starting up?
I'll tell you what. Hi Beth, by the way, good question. I will attest that quarantine proved to me that I don't have the discipline to work out at home. So I know that working out at home can be really convenient, but I also know that getting out of the house and where it's comfortable, where it's convenient, this, that, whatever, if you can drag yourself 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to a gym, now you are in a place where there's singular purpose. Like, why you're there. You're not there to like have coffee and catch up with your friends. You are there to do a thing. And I know that for me, that is always a huge difference maker. You leave it up to me in my own apartment to get away. I mean, maybe I will kind of half-ass my way through something, but you put me in a gym and I'm excited to be there once I finally get through the doors. So I think that's a huge thing for me. That's just something that works for me. I know we've all been kind of challenged by, quarantine, not having access to that stuff, but my gym just opened up and I'm like, here we go. Like, I've been so excited, I've been so excited to reintroduce crippling soreness into my life. It's the weirdest very much walking around like an old man right now, but it's for a good reason. And I would just say the other thing, a lot of people, when they look at fitness and lifestyle and health, if there's anything that I've learned kind of on my journey, it's that it is 80% diet, and almost no one likes to hear that. They really, food is fun. It's kind of one of the pleasures we give ourselves, right? But when I actually share how much I work out, and I do like to stay fit, I do like to be active. It's just something that's always been a part of my lifestyle that I do enjoy. But I think people get this impression that I do it a lot more than I actually do. Really where my main focus is I keep my diet pretty tight. I'm a paleo diet guy. I've talked about this before. Um, it's just the stuff that works for me, but it's really about what I don't do that I think makes the consistent difference over time. I'm pretty boring, and I'm probably really easily able to like let go of things like dairy and cookies and wheat and bread, and I haven't had donuts in like over a decade. Pizza, same thing. I don't eat regular ice cream, dairy and stuff like that. Like these things don't make me feel great. My system can't really handle them. So I have kind of eliminated all that sort of stuff, and I just figured the diet thing and keeping that consistent, even though it's challenging as that is the one thing that keeps me, I think, the most fit. So it's not always about what you can be doing. It's about like, well, what can I actually take away that doesn't lend itself to this process? What doesn't add value here with my goals? So those are two bits of wisdom that I've gained over the years with this stuff.
This next question is also for you, Chad. It's from Monica. Due to your work, you have to travel a lot and be away from home. How do you manage to keep your diet and lifestyle while doing this?
Yeah, I honestly, and maybe Oliver can attest to this too. I think travel is a perk of the job. I got to be honest. But these are my only children. This is all I got. Very lonely man. So it's really easy for me to just unplug stuff and just hit the road. Like I'm like half passport will travel. Like I'm good. I just think it's a wonderful opportunity always to go and see a new part of the world and meet the people and know the culture while you're doing something you love. And I've always loved the travel component, and almost everything I feel like I'm traveling for more often than actually filming in LA these days, which is great. But my diet being as simple as it is, I don't truck around a lot of fancy protein shakes. I don't do any of that stuff. I really, honestly, day one, I have a conversation with whoever's doing catering on the set for us, making the lunches and the breakfast and whatever. And I say, hey, look, make whatever you want for whatever. But, if you're going to grill up 75 chicken breasts, can you just put one on the side that's totally plain? And that'll just be mine. Or instead of putting all the creams and whatever over the bed of broccoli, like, can you just steam some, and before you add that final fun layer, can I just have the plain stuff? And that's typically how I go about it, and that's really just have that little conversation right off the bat and just let them know your dietary concerns and needs. And, if anything, I'm taking a little bit extra fancy off their plate. So it's just easier for them. And that's typically how I go about it. It was really nice filming in Vancouver. I'm sure Oliver can agree with this too, because there are friends up north, but English is still the main language, which is really helpful. And the currency is you easily understand the currency and how that works there, even with a simple US, to Canada exchange. So, we had a lot of the modern conveniences that, you don't get in Bulgaria or, in the outskirts of South Africa, outside of Johannesburg, where I shot another sniper movie, or in Istanbul or stuff like this. So it was actually much easier on this one to just kind of maintain what I was doing down in LA and just bring it right up north in that way. So that was kind of a fun new experience for me as well. Yeah. How about you, Oliver? Have you been able to hit the road a lot for like your projects?
I mean, outside of the US, Vancouver's, I think, as far as I've gone. I've been, lucky to stay. Like my last movie was, like you were saying, it's so rare now. It was shot in LA.
Right.
Which is like, now that's considered like weird,
Totally.
But there's something really nice about shooting in LA. It is nice to sleep in your own bed and stuff. But if you're not going to be sleeping in your own bed, man, Vancouver is an awesome place to be. That's, I won't complain too much. That's an amazing city, and everything about it. Yeah, just great, from the crew to the city itself and in the food. I know Chad didn't enjoy any of the food because he didn't have any salt or pepper on it, but the rest of us.
That's true. Dude, you know what I did the night after we wrapped, that Saturday night when I wrapped? My buddy came up because we were road tripping down to Seattle after the shoot to pay a visit to some good friends we have over at Wizards of the Coast, our Dungeons and Dragons friends who work for D&D. So he flew up to Vancouver that weekend, and then we road trip down to Seattle from Vancouver. But when we wrapped that night, I went to one of the really fancy steakhouses that was really close to the Sutton Place Hotel where we stayed, and I got the most massive, phenomenally prepared steak.
Oh, good
So
for
I
you.
did enjoy the food there for sure.
Okay, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
But we had kind of the best of both worlds, right? Like we were right in the heart of the city, and Vancouver's a wonderful city. It's clean, it's modern. There's so many wonderful things right outside your hotel door. But then every day we were getting up early and we were going to see all these wonderful locations. So we got nature, and then we got to come back to the modern conveniences every single night. So
Yeah.
it was a really awesome way to experience, like Oliver said, a really great city.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Now, I
huh?
have a question for you, Oliver. It's
Yeah.
from Giovanna. She would like to know where you got your inspiration from, and she would like to thank you for the amazing work you did on the script.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. That's so nice to hear. I really appreciate that. Where did I get the inspiration for this movie from? Really simple answer to that. I remember, well, like I said earlier, there was some of these sort of character components of, hey, can we explore the father-son dynamic? Can we explore Brandon a little bit? Can we see both Thomas and Brandon? I really wanted to just make them see, Thomas is in a cabin and Brandon's playing video games. That's kind of like the starting point, but in terms of some of the other, like the like I said, Jason Bourne, at some point I felt like with Zero, what I was trying to do is almost like if Jack Bauer knew how to have fun, he would be Zero, and so it's kind of like if you can put, Jason Bourne type thing on, have Brandon in that kind of situation and Zero in a 24 Jack Bauer-ish kind of situation, those two things coming together, I was like, that's a movie I'd want to see. Throw in a little bit of, maybe some almost Tarantino-ishness with Lady Death and some of the villainry. So it was kind of a little bit of a stew. And then of course, hearkening back to all the other sniper movies, like making sure we hit these really important things like that are kind of like the tent pole things of the franchise, like a long drawn out tense sniper on sniper sequences and so taking what was there and then maybe throwing a couple new things into the blender and seeing if it turns out to be something Chad will eat on his very limited diet.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. And you also mentioned the mother in it as well, didn't you? The mom. Because we hadn't heard about her. And you mentioned that. And I know with Ultimate Kill at the end with the father and son, I really wanted that father and son thing.
You really wanted, right?
And so you must have read my mind there.
Awesome.
I really love that you brought that. So awesome.
Awesome.
I'll agree, because that was one of my favorite parts of the script is, it felt like maybe Oliver, you can agree. It felt like in the franchise, we touch on it, absent father, we kind of connected, not really, the hints are always laid that like we should get together sometime and figure this stuff out. But until your script, we've never done it. And
right.
I was really excited to be like, yes, like honestly, I'm here, we're off the grid. There's no, we can, we have a minute to do it. And I love that component. And I also have another question for you, Oliver, similarly, it was awesome to see all the hand-to-hand stuff and the fight choreography stuff in here. Now, is this something that you really offered Sony? Be like, hey, I really would love to dive into some of this stuff more with the hand-to-hand stuff, or is that perhaps a Sony note that they gave to you to flesh out?
I think it's a bit of all three, one missing thing being Kari as well. I think that I definitely probably was the impetus for the idea. Like I love that kind of action and I wanted to see more of that kind of action. And so it was more of like sort of asking, would that be okay to go in that direction? And then like some of this other stuff I'm talking about, them being super receptive and saying yes, particularly Daniel Monchain, who we keep mentioning, who's really just instrumental. Like he loves all that and wanted to embrace all that. So I think that it was very much there in the script. and then Kari and Brett Chan, they just took it to the next level. You know, like I got to give Kari credit for what is now the biggest fight scene in the whole thing, and maybe almost the biggest action scene, although the car shootout is pretty huge. But clearly the scene in the woods is this great, you know, thing with you and Lady Death. And that isn't huge in the script. I mean, they fight, but you know, it's a much smaller, like it's really just the aftermath of this huge sniper shootout that it follows. And then Kari was like, no, this needs to be like a showdown. And I'm so glad he did. Because
me too.
Yeah.
So Oliver, I've got another question for you. This one from Scarlett. Given the opportunity to write another script for a sniper, do you see giving a Brandon Beckett a family in the future? So basically that he starts.
Oh wow! I'm gonna throw that question to Chad. What do you think, Chad? Should any family for Brandon?
I'm full up. I told you. Good. Good. We've got a good thing worked out here, me and my plants.
Don't talk back.
You know, why don't we start him with like a modest pet, like a hamster or something, keep it alive. You know, I mean, look, he's a sniper. He's a lone wolf, right? Like he's probably not meant to have responsibilities outside of dragging around his 40-pound long gun, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I make this joke a lot in some of the conversations I have, you know, about the movie. And it's like, I love doing these. You know, I've been able to, there's 8 total, which just blows my mind. And, you know, I've been a part of 5 of them, which is just, it's been such a blessing to my life and my career. And I make the joke that, you know, we're like neck and neck with the Fast and Furious franchise. Like who's gonna, like, we're literally like, you know, trying to like see who can crank out the most, you know, sequels and just have the most fun. And, you know, I'd like to go all the way to Sniper 20. I'll be honest with you. I was like, you know, if there's an heir that I can, you know, take the Remington heirloom and pass that down and take off the Carhartt jacket and give that to him or her, I'm so happy to do that. I think that's really, really super cool. But, you know, you'd think and you know, maybe it's not too late for Brandon, but I think if he was going to like settle down or have that thing, maybe he would have done it already. But, you know, I mean, maybe on your next pitch, Oliver, maybe that's something you
just become the straight up like family drama. The next Sniper 9 is just no action. It's just Brandon, family life.
It's a rom-com that turns tragic.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I haven't had a lady friend in one of these movies in a while, Oliver. So maybe that's how we mix it up on the next one. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's up to you. It's up to you, honestly.
I will say this: if we make it to Sniper, if we make it to Sniper 20, and you still don't have like any, I mean, then Brandon's just getting a little weird. All right, we gotta.
Very true. Very lonely in that house. Very lonely.
Well, everyone loves your answers. I'm just watching a chat right now and everyone.
Oh man, that's fun.
Oh, tell me, Oliver, what is it like working with Chad?
Oh man,
I'm gonna see.
very difficult.
Back in
Very
5.
difficult. No, Chad is everything you want out of an actor and a collaborator, and I really mean that. I'm not just saying it. Obviously, you know, just like a leader. Like Chad said, he's been on this longer than any of the other collaborators involved in this. So he immediately just takes a leadership role, and it's impressive and it's appreciated. And in outside of that, just, you know, consummate professional with dedication to kicking ass and being great. And yeah, I can't say enough awesome things about that guy. I'm pointing, you can't tell, to my
Yeah,
we all have him in a different area on our screens, so
I know, right?
that's really kind. And I want to say, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. This franchise is important to me. I love this franchise. I was able early on in my career, I was able to come aboard this thing, and it was such a gift. And so I take a tremendous responsibility, and I love that it keeps going. And I really do hope we go to like 20 or more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see why not,
Yeah, right. I'm with you.
I just think there's wonderful supportive fans and audiences around the world for these movies, and I love that. And each time you step on set, and you can attest to this, Oliver, you want to make something a little bit better than what you made before. You've learned, you've grown, you want to apply that stuff there. But we were spoiled, man. Like you said before, what a great cast and crew. Like just the most lovely Canadian people. Kari, our director and our leader, Daniel at Sony was incredibly just open and just there overseeing things and offering great stuff always. And it didn't feel like a dictatorship, and it really felt like a nice collaboration. And I remember one of the first conversations we had, Oliver, where it's like, look, I might have ideas here, whatever. I was like, but please understand, I know my role as an actor. It's my job to make those words on that page work. And I like to honor the writer. I understand that it takes 6 months for a writer to get this where it needs to be. I want to honor that. I want to really do service to that. I feel like that's my job. And to have someone like Oliver who was like, hey, I really appreciate that, but also if we can make it better together somehow, I'm all ears. And that's so rare to hear, and it was really a lot of fun. So, we and Oliver got on really great, and Kari and everyone else too. Ryan Robbins, we talked about before, was fantastic. Sayaka Akimoto, who played Lady Death, such a gamer. We spent a lot of hours in Brett Chan's dojo, and she was such a gamer. And along those lines, let me give a shout out to our wonderful stunt performers. My double is a guy named Matthew Reamer, and Megan Huey doubled Sayaka, and they were also instrumental with helping us get down the steps and the beats and the moments of the fights. And they were there, and they made the cut of the movie because they were doing some real fancy stuff, and they're in the movie, and they were just top flight, top notch on top of Brett and everybody else. But the whole thing was a great experience. And the one other thing that I love is like, not a screamer in the bunch. We made a great movie in less days than I've ever worked on one of these movies on a shortened schedule, which is very lean, mean, and efficient. But we still had the most fun, and I think we made a pretty damn good product, considering. And that just goes to show you that you can have a good time and make a good movie. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah, right. Yep.
All right, Chad. Sylvania wants to know what your skin and beauty secrets are.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's right here on the paper.
Good lighting? I don't know. I walk around with a hair and makeup crew everywhere I go. It's in my contract, writer. Oliver knows.
Yeah. I
don't really have very much. I like a lot of you. We're all fans of like Young Living stuff. I like to use a lot of their stuff with essential oils and plant-based stuff. I see a woman. All right, I'll share a quick story. So I live in LA, right? I was new in my acting career. One of the first big guest stars that I ever did was on a show called CSI Miami, like the last season of CSI Miami. And I got to play a cage fighter, which is really cool, who was being blackmailed. And I remember talking to, I think like one of the hair and makeup women on that set. And she said, where do you live? This, that, whatever. She's like, look, you're young in your career, you're like 29, 30 years old. She was like, I'll give you some advice because I've been in this industry for a long time. She's like, just see like an esthetician, like every so often, just go and see and just do what they tell you and you're going to be great. And I'm like, what's that? And so she told me, and she referred me to someone who was right in Studio City. I go and see this woman anywhere between 2 to 5 times a year and use a lot of her stuff. And I mean, she's just the boss. She's a lovely woman. And Maddie, if you're watching, French Moroccan woman who she's the boss. And whatever she tells me, I just do. And whatever she says, use this, I just use it. And that's kind of, if I have any sort of secret, it's that, I suppose, just every once in a while. Because, the thing is, and especially that was before HD really came in. Now in HD, and Oliver knows, like, you can't hide flaws. Like, HD picks up everything, and it's only going to get more intense and more whatever. So this woman gave me some just really sage advice and just said, hey, like, your face is your moneymaker. I know guys don't want to, they don't care, vanity, give me the wrinkles, I want to be Paul Newman, whatever. She's like, just trust me, see an expert, do what she tells you, and you'll add life to your career. And I'm like, okay, I'm not really sure it's helping, but I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. For 57, I'm doing great. What are your beauty secrets, Oliver?
No,
I'm gonna be a writer like you, man.
I don't. I'm not even gonna. Not even gonna entertain that with a funny quip.
So just before I ask the question to Chad, Oliver, I just want to tell you that there is plenty of fans. You've got lots of fans in here on the chat. They all want your autograph. So I'm just telling you that Oliver got a massive fan club right now here.
Wow. Okay. That's great.
Yeah, but going back to Chad now, Giovanna would like to know again, would like to know how it is to shoot with a real sniper rifle. Are you using a real sniper rifle?
We had some functional, 50 cal monsters on some of these movies. This one we don't get into. Sayaka had some heavy duty stuff, Oliver, right? Like, she had like a heavy duty sniper rifle. But I was just kind of using Dad's old trusty, Remington.
Yeah.
So, I think most of the guns you do see in those movies are functional. They could be loaded up and fired. It depends. It gets a little tricky with international. I know on some of the shoots they've had to literally have them assembled in, the country, because you're not bringing those things across borders, or it's probably infinitely complicated to do that. But most of those things are functional. I remember. Man, I'm making it sound like Sniper Ghost Shooter was the hardest one of the bunch, but I'll go back to that one. There's a scene in Sniper Ghost Shooter where I'm in a white ghillie suit, trying to blend into the snow and the mountainside. And, we had this massive sniper rifle, 50 cal beast, so heavy. And I don't remember what it was, but typically, when it's a blank, you're not shooting live rounds, obviously. But a blank, they'll take the gunpowder down, and it's called either a half load or a quarter load. So they use like a quarter or a half of what would be in a regular bullet. And then of course there's no actual ordnance in it. There's no bullet that can do any damage. It's just the gunpowder, boom, make a big boom, hopefully get some fire coming out of the muzzle, and you capture that on film. I didn't use ear protection shooting that rifle, and I don't know if they had upped the gunpowder or whatever, but like, man, my ears were ringing for like 3 days. It was nuts. So for sure, you've got to treat those things like they're the real thing all the time, just because things can go awry, and guns are very dangerous. So we're always very careful to be as safe as we can on set. But I would say in my experience, almost every single one of those guns are the real deal, functional. Unless we're going to use them in a fight scene, then we get probably some plastic rubberized version in there, so we don't actually, brain each other and knock teeth out.
Right.
Oliver, next question for you. Anna Paula would like to know, what was the most difficult aspect when writing, shooting, or sequencing a production like a sniper movie? So is this your first action film that you've written?
It's not the first one I've written. It's the first one I've written that's been made, So I've written other action movies that, various things happened to, but this was the first time I got to see one come to life. I would say the writing action scenes actually is pretty difficult. It's harder for me, than writing dialogue scenes, although there's certain dialogue scenes that take a lot of energy as well. But I think that, to go back to the whole roadside shootout, that was the hardest, I would say, the most challenging set piece of this movie. Early on, so it's pretty close to how it's scripted, all the action. There's some changes, and Kari switched some stuff around, but for the most part, a lot of those beats are as written. And I remember, one of the first things, Kari and Brett had me stand up at our production office in the big boardroom, big board table, and Kari brought in toys, toy trucks and little action figures, and he had them all labeled so we knew which action figure. He had a little sticker on it that said Brandon, and this one said, Agent Number 1, and this one said, and he just said, Oliver, play the scene, show, because we had all the department heads in the room, and he just said, show everybody what's on this page, how you see it, and so I kind of was put on the spot and had to play, and it was this funny moment where you just realize, like, I would do anything to show 8-year-old Oliver, like, this is going to be your life someday. You're going to be
Yeah, man.
like, anyway, and then from there, so then I had Brett Chan, our stunt choreographer, and Kari watch what I did, and then from there say, okay, here's how we make that a reality. And Brett comes in and starts saying, okay, I'll have a driver in here, and he'll do this kind of turn, and then we'll crash this thing, and then blah, 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 and they just start going nuts. And then, you get it so planned and figured out so that when you get there and you're actually shooting, we shot that whole scene in 2 days, and you just gotta, like, knock it out and know everything that's going to happen. So that was the biggest one. That was a trick.
Yeah, the details are crazy, because not only do you have to write it out, like you say, Oliver, and then you've got to demonstrate, the thing so people can start to wrap their head around it, in a kind of like drawn to scale, kind of thing. By the way, was the action figure that you used for me, was it this? Was it hey guys?
Sadly, no.
Oh, come on, man.
I wish.
That's okay. I'm sure it was someone even cooler.
Try another one.
I wish I could remember.
But you're right. There's so many details to chase down, and I mean, the amount of camera setups, the amount of shots that you guys have to, like, stay on top of to get every little piece, it's crazy. And I don't think, unless you're on a set living that and experiencing that, it's tedious, and that scene has so much action that it really feels like it flies by. But you're right, 2 days.
Mhm.
Like, those things always take the longest. We can knock out 10 pages of dialogue on a good shooting day. But
Yeah.
an action scene that might be 2 or 3 pages in length in the script, that's going to take you 2 days. Just because everybody who shoots a gun, when do they shoot it? The camera angle is involved with this, and now you've got vehicles coming into play and all the angles there, and it is really
Smashing out
impressive.
windows of vehicles, crashing
Yeah.
cars into each other. It's a big process. Yeah.
Big time. And it's like, you have to get a lot of the functional stuff with the vehicles first before you can start destroying them, right? So there's an order to
Yeah.
everything, and really it's an unbelievable magical chessboard that these guys put together, and all credit to Oliver and Brett and Kari for doing that. Like, it's days like that where I'm just happy to show up, be like, just tell me where to go and where to be, and because the organization it takes to do those gargantuan efforts it's crazy.
Mhm.
So my next question was for Oliver from Scarlett, but you've already answered it. She wanted to know how much time it took to shoot the sequence with the Russians. So
Oh,
2
yeah.
days.
Ooh.
Well, Well, thanks for the great question, and I glad we were able to answer it. Out of order. We did it out of order. We're so used to filmmaking out of order.
Right.
We just do everything.
Hello, I'm Chad Michael Collins. This is my Oliver Thompson. Welcome to our live stream.
So I got a question for you, Chad. It's from Beth. Okay. Would like to know if you rather go hiking in the mountains or spend a day at the beach. Surfing, maybe?
Ooh, that's a good one. I do like my mountains and my nature for sure. Let's go with that one. Yeah, I think I'm more of, I mean, given how few times I've actually been to the ocean in LA, even though I've been here forever, I guess that makes me a mountain man because I do love escaping up into the woods and the mountains and stuff like that. It's just something that always reminds me of home, upstate New York, and the outdoors and natures and trees and stuff like that. So, not that the beach ain't fun, but for sure, I'll go with the mountain man.
Right. Well, I've got a question. That's actually my question. To chat. I'm just wondering how different would your Saturdays look like if we weren't in quarantine? Because right now you're spending a lot of time on Twitch.
Man, I could spend a lot more time on Twitch, but it evens out to about 2 to 5 hours a week tops, sadly. I would like to do a lot more. Because it's playing video games with friends. I mean, really, Twitch is like the best discovery I've made all quarantine, just being able to play video games with friends and kind of broadcast that. My Saturdays, how would they look different? I don't know. I mean, I'm a guy who likes to work out on weekends. The weeks can fill up. It can get very busy. An actor's experience every day is totally different. Different things come in, different things are on the schedule. An audition can come in last minute that demands all your attention and railroads your day. So the weekend tends to be my special, gym time, or time to get out and do a hike, and or reconnect with a friend and have some coffee or whatever else. So I don't know that they would look entirely too much different. I'd get the gym in there. I would, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd step out and watch a movie or something like that. But I keep it pretty chill in general. So,
That's the big thing missing for me is going to the movies for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's just killing me. I just got to get back into the movie theater.
I know, man. I missed Rise of Skywalker like last holiday. I didn't catch it at all, and I just got lazy and didn't see it when I got back to LA after the holidays. But I have Disney Plus, and I'm like, guess we're watching a Star Wars movie on my TV right now. So we're all having to adapt to that.
Yeah.
In that way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There's nothing like seeing those types of movies, or just any movie in general on the big screen. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping it comes back sooner than later. But they're doing a lot of drive-ins now, is what I'm seeing, which is old school. I grew up on drive-in movies. It'd be $10 a carload, and they'd have a double feature, and you'd go outside and take a crude like microphone in the window of your vehicle, and you'd watch the projection on a big huge screen. So it's kind of been fun to see the resurgence of drive-ins, which are naturally social distant movie experiences anyway, between being in your car and 6 feet apart in a parking space. So that's been kind of a weird, kind of fun thing to see return that you never would have guessed.
So look and see if we have that around us somewhere, because I might have to resort to that. I'm missing it too much.
Oliver, this next question is actually mine, and it's for you. If you weren't a writer of script or music, what profession could you see yourself in?
Well, so my education is actually in music. I have a music composition degree. So I think I would be very happy teaching music theory at the college level. That would make me a very fulfilled human. So I guess that's what I would do. But that's by no means an easy job to attain either. So we'll see. I would probably end up, I don't know, who knows? But that would be the next dream, I guess. Teaching music.
That's super cool. I actually didn't know that about you. I knew that you did the music and the song for the movie and stuff like that, but I didn't know that was your background. It's like most people don't know that my degree was in journalism. And here I am, cool. As an actor. Yeah. So it's funny, isn't it? The entertainment industry.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't traditionally come up through, those, whether it's like, studying acting or studying screenwriting or being a film student. A lot of times we find ourselves in the entertainment industry coming from a completely different background.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Yeah, my music degree though was probably even more music composition. That's probably an even more like useless degree in terms of job placement than had I gone to school for film. So
I've got a question sort of to both of you. Scarlett is interested to know how the movie industry is adapting right now to all the social distancing, how that works when it comes to filming, writing, as well as acting for you, Chad.
Yeah, things have been dark for a while, and it's I've been having some interesting conversations because we're entering a whole new age. We'll get back to it eventually. If and when, I don't really know. I know there's always the talk of things are close, things are close, things are close, but nothing is actually happening yet. So, for an actor, it's interesting because at the end of the day, we're going to have to be on the front lines. With no mask, no gloves, no whatever else. I for one am ready and eager because obviously safety protocols are going to be put in place and everyone's going to be doing their best, right? But at the end of the day, I want to be an actor more than I want to stay indoors and live in fear the rest of my life. So that for me is not a hard choice. And I am ready to get back on sets because, it's going to take the brave people to come forward and just try it and just do it. And if we've got to adjust accordingly from there, I have a pretty good understanding of nutrition and health, and I've been doing things to just protect myself, safeguard, double down on certain supplements or things that I'm eating to really keep my immune system top notch. But at the end of the day, someone's just we're just going to have to go and try it. We're going to have to go and film, and actors are going to have to be in close proximity. When Oliver starts writing love interests for me so we can have Brandon's family come in Sniper 12, what am I going to do? We can't
just,
yeah.
it's gonna be all Tinder.
We can't start a social family, Oliver. So we're gonna have to go for it. So yeah, it's been interesting, but I have been eager and hungry and ready to get back to work. I know it's a lot more complicated than that, but at the end of the day, I just think we're gonna have to sign releases. And that says, we can't sue productions if we get, COVID-19 down the road and whatever, because, Oliver will tell you as a producer, it's very complicated to get a film or a television or anything off the ground. There's insurance, there's bonds, there's all sorts of stuff you have to line up before you're even allowed to spend a ton of money and hope for the best. Mm-hmm. So really, this is why we are in kind of a standstill is, do our actors going to feel safe? How can we safeguard our sets? How can we do the things? But I am ready and I'm excited to go. And I know that productions have been going, mostly independent films, and they've been mostly fine. They've been doing their due diligence and being safe, but it has been done. My friend did one in Oklahoma in April with 30 people, and she was fine, and there was no complications. And so I know it can be done. No one wants to think about that one case where someone does get sick, but if we want to have our industry come back, we're going to have to take that risk and face that inevitability when it comes down. So, but it has been tricky. It's been challenging, and I for one am ready to get back in the saddle as soon as possible. Yeah. How about you, Oliver? I mean, I know that a writer can be really just a lone wolf and being in solitude to really get a lot of that stuff down.
Yeah, so I guess that in terms of everything you said, I would echo and agree, like the desire to get back out there, and hopefully we will soon, and we just have to at some point bite the bullet. But I guess the one thing that's nice about being a writer, it's already a social distancing thing. Like before this ever happened, I was already spending enormous amounts of time to do my job alone. At a desk. So that is the one nice thing is there have been some projects that the one thing studios have done is and production companies have said, okay, well, let's just take this time to develop new stuff. And I've been fortunate enough to, get some of the benefits of that and stay working. But it's all for nothing if we don't get out there and film the pages. So
true.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I know that they are filming some stuff overseas at the moment, aren't they? Like the Outpost and stuff like that's actually filming. So some things have got off the ground, but it'll be quite interesting, I think, in the near future to see what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oliver. This was my question.
Okay.
So you had a hand in part of the soundtrack, because I love music myself, including writing some of the songs for Sniper. I'll talk to you about that later. Okay. Can you explain how that comes about? You know, when you're writing music for a soundtrack, do you get asked to do it? Do you just do it and then say, hey, I've written a song? Do you think this will go? Like, how does that happen?
So I've had a couple songs in a couple different movies, and it's always a little different. This one is definitely the most fun story. In the past, it's been the director or a producer or a music supervisor knows about a song of mine. I don't know how, because they got it on a whatever. And they approach me and say, hey, we want to use your song in the movie. And there you go. With this, it was a very different, cool, this is, okay, so the story of White Dragon. Here we go. Basically, in the script, I had written, to paraphrase myself, like the first thing when we meet Brandon in this script, it says, Brandon Beckett, like we've never seen him before, on the couch playing video games in a Metallica t-shirt, and the costume department came to me, and they take everything very seriously that's in the script, which is awesome. They want to really, and they kind of, hey, we're, to license a Metallica t-shirt is going to be extremely expensive, and I was like, oh no, that's just flowery language. I just want the vibe of it's, Brandon on his off day. And then that created the discussion of, okay, well then what t-shirt would it be? And I said, well, what if we sort of create our own fake 80s heavy metal band, like in the vein, I was picturing something like kind of Iron Maiden meets Judas Priest with maybe some like Ronnie James Dio thrown in. And Kari, he was like, he loved the idea. And he was like, but Oliver, this is your wheelhouse, not mine. He's like, you just run with that. So all White Dragon was originally supposed to be was a t-shirt, not this t-shirt. This is Frank Zappa. And so then we worked with the graphics department and they came up with the logo, and I came up with the name of the album, In the Teeth of the Master. And we put a bunch of, the tour dates are actually just like cut and paste from, I think, Metallica's Ride the Lightning tour or something. And there we go. So it's just a t-shirt. And you can see it in the scene. And they did such an awesome job with it. Then in post-production, we started talking about needle drop and what we could do to, I wonder if Chad is going to the bathroom or going to produce. I hope it's the...
No, he's going to get the t-shirt.
He's going to get the t-shirt, isn't he? See?
Oh, yes. There it is. You're muted. You're muted, Chad.
You're muted, Chad.
You get to keep it, did you?
This is an amazing story that I'm even learning about. And it's stuff like this that it's like there's so many details that go into a movie that you just take for granted. And most people might have missed this.
There it is.
White Dragon in the Teeth of the Master.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Wardrobe came in, cut the sleeves off, like bleached it up, dirtied it up, kind of distressed it in a way. But I mean, look, Oliver even came up with like the tour dates and locations and whatever. Cool. Like, how incredible is that? Anyway, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's just like
you produced
they made a bunch for a few of us to take home. Like, I got the
I have a replica. Cool. Kari has one. Our DP Sterling has one. So anyway, then we're in post-production, and we started talking about, we had an awesome score by a gentleman named Patrick Caird, who did a great job, but it was like we should have like a song, or in what they call a needle drop, in the credits. And we were presented with some ideas, and nothing was really doing anything for us. And I don't know if it was me, it probably was me, or if it was Daniel, or if it was Kari, but someone was like, hey, what if I wrote a song in the style of White Dragon? which just sounds like so much fun to me, because if anyone ever heard my music, it's not like that at all. I don't do like, I love Iron Maiden, I love Judas Priest, but I don't make music that sounds like that. I don't know what I do. It's, I guess, more folk rock, whatever, pop rock. So to get to do a song like that and pretend to be another band just sounded like so much fun. So I wrote 2 songs, I demoed them up, sent them to Kari and Daniel. They flipped out over both of them. They're like, oh my God, we got to get in the studio. Like, we go record both of these for real. We brought in like a different singer, this guy, Brandon Bauman, to come in and like really kind of have more of that like Bruce Dickinson kind of vibe. And then, like we said, Kari ended up using the one song twice, and the other one's just going to have to be saved for, if anything, we'll make Sniper 9 just to use another White Dragon song like that.
I've already got the word.
So is there going to be a soundtrack? Because I like this. What was it? Spitting His Fire, Teeth of the Master. That was the 2, weren't they?
Yeah. And then Spitting His Fire, I got to give Kari credit, because he's actually the guy that was walking around. Kari was the one walking around set singing White Dragon, Spitting His Fire. And I was like, oh, dude, you can't give me a little melodic nugget like that and think I'm not just going to run with it. Okay, this is like what I do. So, give me the weekend and I'll have the whole song figured out. So, that's how that happened. It was just a fun, organic sequence of events that led to White Dragon actually having real music.
So great. A lot of you know I'm a rock and roll guy, so I was all about it. It would have been a little bit more awkward if Brandon was like more of like like a 90s hip hop guy. I'd be like, I can't really relate to that as much. Or if he was like a country guy,
right.
I would, like, God forbid I'd be a country fan. It's not really my cup of tea at all.
It's another one of those things where I'm glad that we hit that, like that I was able, because like I come up with these ideas of, I think it'd be cool if Brandon was into this, and then but at the end of the day I'm gonna appeal to Chad on that, and I'm glad that we saw it eye to eye on the
wins all around.
All right, we're going to finish off the session. A question from Brooke, but I think you've already answered it. It's for both of you. Will there be another Sniper movie? Is there confirmation?
I don't think there's confirmation yet, but it's definitely, there's discussion. So that's
that's a good start. Yeah.
Actually, I heard something
we can
different.
petition.
I want to make this announcement for everybody. So
yeah, I think
it's gonna be great.
Also, I can't say what I want.
You can't give too much away yet.
I want to let everybody know, and this is the case with every Sniper movie. It was the case with Call of Duty and whatever. It's just like, I'm on a need to know basis. Like when things are ready to rock, sometimes I'll get a head up like, hey, circle your calendars for like this fall, or I'll get the script when it's ready and whatever else. But I'm always pleasantly surprised when we get to do another one, but I never have any advance intel in that stuff ever. So I even if people want spoilers from me, I literally have no spoilers to give. So you guys can harass Oliver from here on out.
Yeah,
If we can't break them together.
In the meantime, you've got a great business opportunity here, because everyone wants White Dragon merchandise right now.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, I want one.
Hey man,
that's so cool.
There's requests. There's a request going left and right. So
definitely something we can do about
it's all about the merch, baby.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to brand it. That was a play on words, but anyway, my dog's been trying to get up on my lap for about the last hour, and it's killing me.
Oh,
come on up.
Unfortunately, I think we have to wrap it up now.
All right.
We've kind of gone over top. I don't know what everyone's schedule's like. So we answered all the questions, so that's awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Chad and Oliver, we'd like to wish you the best, okay, in your current and upcoming ventures. I'd like to thank you for your time today. Awesome. It was so much fun. You guys
Thank you
are
so
quite
much
funny
for having
together.
me.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thanks, Dorota, for that. For the, you know, wink, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So, you know, we appreciate that you've taken your time to come and spend with the group today, because it looks like everybody's quite happy with the way that things have happened. It's a pleasure to have you both here. Now, many thanks, and make sure that you enjoy the rest of your day as well.
We will.
I
just want to say a big thank you to everybody who sent questions, and
Yes.
obviously to you four and anyone else who had a hand in organizing this. This was really fun.
Really
you know,
fun. Yeah.
Oliver and I got to hang out a couple of times in LA after we got back, you know, when we were recording some voice looping and stuff. And
and rooting against the Raiders together, because we both
That's right.
just really,
We went-
really hate the Raiders, you know, and
we went and watched a football game, you know, at a local bar restaurant, and I was cheering for my Raiders, and he's got his Detroit hat on. So the Raiders were playing the Lions.
yep.
And I don't even know how the Raiders won. They didn't really deserve to win too many
Because
games.
I know how they won. They were playing the Lions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You've got a more beleaguered franchise.
Should we just leave now and leave you guys, you know?
I was really happy to have Oliver join us today. I'm so glad that you all reached out to him and got us all connected, because we really did have a great time on this movie, and he's such a cool, nice guy. And it's awesome for you all to get to know him in the way that I've been able to get to know him. And let's watch his movies. Let's support his stuff. Let's sell his White Dragon merchandise.
Thanks so much, Chad, and to everyone else. It's been really, really awesome and much appreciated. I'm very very honored. Thank you.
And where do we get to like hear some of your music?
Everything's sort of been a little under wraps right now. I think maybe you could hopefully soon I'll start like putting some stuff back into the world. I don't know what happened. I had like a moment.
Talk to me offline.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of took
Talk
everything.
to me offline, okay?
I took everything down, and I'm in the process of rebuilding. I'm building something new. So hopefully I'll have some news on that at some point in the future. When Sniper 20 comes out, I'll have some news on that.
When Sniper 9 comes out, it should be, you mean?
Okay, that's better. I like your timeline better.
Yeah, so do I.
Me too.
Well, here's hoping that the rest of the year goes smoothly anyway, and that you can both get back to doing what you love to do, which is writing music, acting, playing a clown. And it also wasn't directed at anyone. We would also like to thank our organisers. So that's Rachel, Dorota, and Jen. Thanks, guys.
All right.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye-bye.
I don't know
Bye
how to
then.
take this off.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again.
Bye.